Making one phone call to ask for a higher credit limit legitimately saved me $44,000 in interest. So today I want to explain how that's even possible, why raising your credit limit is so important, and show you how you can get a huge credit limit increase right now. All right, so I alluded to the first and easiest way to raise your credit limit immediately, and that is to simply ask. With most credit cards, this involves just calling the number on the back of your card and asking for a credit limit increase, and in that case, they'll probably ask if there's been a substantial change in your income or the amount of debt that you're carrying, and they will then be able to pretty quickly determine if they can offer you a credit limit increase, and if so, how much. But some products like Discover credit cards allow you to easily request a credit limit increase online, which I have done a number of times with my Discover It credit card, which is one of the ways that I was able to raise my credit limit and save $44,000 in interest. But if I'm being completely honest, asking for a credit limit increase is not the easiest way to dramatically increase your credit limit. And it's actually another strategy that we're gonna talk about that allowed me to go from having just $500 in available credit to over $100,000. But before we get to that, why is raising your credit limit so important, and how in the world did being able to spend more money save me $44,000? Well, without boring you to death, one of the biggest variables that makes up your credit score is called your credit utilization. And this is simply a percentage that represents how much of your current available credit are you using. So for simplicity, let's say you have 2 credit cards and each of them has a limit of $1,000. And let's say that you spent $700 on each of these cards. Well, if we take the total amount that you've spent, which is $1,400, and divide it by the total amount of credit available to you, which is $2,000, that tells us that your utilization in this example is 70%, which is horrible for your credit score since typically you want to keep your utilization below 30%, and in my opinion, you actually want to keep it below 10%. Now, you could spend less, but that's no fun, and in our example of a $2,000 credit limit, spending below that 10% rule means that you could only spend $200, and I'm pretty sure my grocery bill is more than that nowadays. But by increasing the denominator, which is your credit limit, this is going to decrease your utilization, and a lower utilization is better for your credit score. Now, this video is not about credit scores specifically, so I'll reference you to this recent video if you want to learn more about exactly how to build your credit score, but generally speaking, a better credit score means lower interest rates when it comes time to borrow money. And that's a big deal when you're talking about borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house, for example. So by increasing my credit score, I was able to lower my interest rate on a $400,000 mortgage from 5.2% when I was first looking, all the way down to 4% when it came time to buy, which meant instead of paying $176,000 in interest over a 15-year mortgage, I'll now pay $132,000 in interest, which is a savings of $44,000 just by increasing my credit limit. I know that might have been a little bit confusing, so if you want an easier way to monitor your credit score and your different credit accounts, then you'll definitely want to check out today's video sponsor, Aura. I've talked about Aura many times at this point, so if you still haven't signed up, then I'm not really sure what you're waiting on, but this is truly the easiest way that I have found to track my credit score and protect my financial information, which unfortunately does occasionally get stolen. But usually it's not until you discover fake accounts in your name or your credit score plummets that the panic and fear starts to set in. And at that point, you're going to wish that you had Aura. Aura is credit monitoring, identity theft protection, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software, all combined into one easy-to-use app on your smartphone. It's going to monitor the dark web for your emails, passwords, social security number, and send fast fraud alerts right to your smartphone so that you always know what's going on with your financial information. You'll also get a notification anytime a new account is added to your credit reports, and you can track all of the different variables that make up your credit score, including your credit limit, to make sure that you are staying on track and growing your score as fast as possible. So as you embark on this journey of raising your credit limits and ultimately saving yourself some cash, don't wait until it is too late. Check out our sponsor Aura using the link down in the description to get a 14-day free trial and protect your financial accounts from fraud today. All right, we've still got to talk about the main strategy that I used to instantly increase my credit limit and ultimately save $44,000 in interest. But the second way that you can increase your credit limit is by simply waiting for an automatic increase. Now, this one is hard to get excited about, and obviously it's not going to happen right now, most likely. But if your credit card provider sees that you are regularly using a large chunk of your current credit limit, then chances are they will automatically increase that credit limit for you. Every card and account is going to be a little bit different, but usually these increases will happen every couple of months. And in the case of my Discover It credit card, my once $500 limit is now $6,500 on that card alone, most of which happened automatically without me having to pick up the phone and call them. All right, but we want results right now. So the third way that you can increase your credit limit today is to increase the deposit that you have made on a secured credit card. Obviously, if you don't have a secured credit card, then this one doesn't apply to you. But remember that with a secured credit card, you make a security deposit up front, and that deposit then becomes your credit limit. This type of product is usually meant for users with little to no credit history, but if you wanted to get the Discover It secured card, for example, then let's say that you'd make a security deposit of $500, and you could then spend up to $500 on that secured credit card. So by making a larger deposit of, say, $1,000, I would now be able to spend $1,000 on that card, meaning I doubled my credit limit. And assuming that my spending stays the same, that would cut my utilization in half. So if you do have a secured credit card, then this might be your only option, but it does require you to front that cash, which you will get back if you ever decide to close that account, but it still is kind of a bummer in my opinion. Which actually brings us to the number one best way to dramatically and quickly increase your credit limits, and that would be applying for a new credit card. Now, you've got to be careful and strategic with this one, and don't just run out and start applying randomly for every credit card you can get your hands on. But this is definitely the strategy that I used the most to dramatically increase my credit limits, and by methodically and strategically applying for different credit cards and climbing what is often referred to as the credit card ladder, you can increase your credit limit significantly in a relatively short period of time. And don't be discouraged if your first credit card has a limit of just a couple $100, because that's totally normal, and usually these credit limit increases are exponential. My first credit card was again the Discover It credit card, which had just a $500 limit, but then I applied for the SoFi credit card, which gave me a $2,500 limit. Then I applied for the American Express Gold card, which is technically a charge card, so it has no hard credit limit, but my spending power was usually around $10,000 when I was regularly using this product. And I've continued that process with many other products over the course of several years, to the point that I now have over $100,000 in available credit, including my American Express Platinum card, which I have legitimately used to pay a $40,000 tax bill, and I don't even know what the credit limit is on this card, since it is also a charge card. And I want to be clear that I have never paid a dime in interest to any credit card company, because I always pay off every single card in full on time without fail. And despite the fact that my credit limit has increased so dramatically in the past few years, my spending has stayed largely the same. And because of that, my utilization is usually at or below 1%. And that, combined with the fact that I now have additional lines of credit on my account, which is also good for my credit score, means that my score has climbed from the low 600s to nearly 800, dropping my interest rate on my mortgage from 5.2% when I was first looking to 4% when it came time to buy. And that 1.2% difference on a $400,000 mortgage over 15 years will legitimately save me $44,000 in interest, and that number would be even bigger had I gotten a 30-year mortgage. So be intentional about the products that you're applying for, and make sure that they have a practical use in your wallet. And if you're not familiar with the concept of the credit card ladder, I'll link to this recent video down below that I made on exactly how to get started climbing the credit card ladder today. But you don't have to overcomplicate this. Even just adding a second credit card to your wallet could double your credit limit immediately and cut your utilization in half, which is going to have a huge positive impact on your credit score. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. As always, thank you so much for your time. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.